Hi, I'm Jen Farley, and I believe that there is a rock star within all of us. So I'm going out and talking to people that I know that are rock stars in what they do. Today, I am with my friend, Alex Shade, and she is a director at a financial institution that focuses on corporate social responsibility.
Yes.
CSR.
Yes.
So please welcome Alex.
Hi, everybody.
So tell me what CSR is,
Right.
and what that's all about.
Well, first of all, CSR is simply put having a positive impact on society. So when we think about the influence that we have as humans, it's about community. It's about how we are working to ensure that people have what they need in order to best thrive. And within the organization that I work at, we have centered equity within that space. And so when we think about opportunities, that also means access, resources, and the tools that people need, which is usually underrepresented and marginalized groups in order to best thrive.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is a
right?
lot.
To unpack
But
it.
like how do corporations come into that and put those words into action?
Yeah. Well, it's about being intentional, right? I mean, corporations, organizations, people all have decisions when you think about it. It's how do I want to live my life? How do I want to give back? And you can do that with time, talent, treasure. You could do that financially speaking, making contributions. You can do that as volunteering at your favorite nonprofit organization, or serving on a board, or serving in a committee capacity. You could also do it with being a subject matter expert. So, for example, I always like to say, like, we're all badasses in our own right. And so whether you're a rock star, you may define yourself as that, you may not. Other people may see those qualities and skills within you. It's being able to then leverage and use those in a positive way, right? And so I'm a person who is a mentor. I'm very passionate about women's rights, young girls' rights, youth, advocating for today's youth, as well as the generations that are coming behind them, as well as my daughter's generation. I do what I do from a professional standpoint because it's not just what we should be doing as we're looking at creating a society that's based in humanism and based in humanity, but one which is about like why wouldn't we want to be doing this? I don't want to see people suffering.
Right.
I know you don't want to see people suffering. And so it's if I can do and play a role, I know you as my friend will join me in that journey to make the world a better place. And so when I think about whether it be, again, a corporation or whether it's an individual, we all have a role to play. It's just whether or not you're going to choose to take on and be active and to see the change that, and for me, it's that I want to be and that I want to see.
Nice. So how did you get into this line of work? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I would love to say that, like, I, went to career day.
I'll be a corporate social responsibility advocate.
Right? Like, I'd love to say, like, when I transitioned into high school and I went to an all-girls prep school, but, like, as a first year, we were called fresh women. And when in my family, we were looking at high schools that I would go to, that high school in particular really spoke to me because of their gender inclusive language, right? Like, so this was like, I'm totally dating myself, but like what, not 15, maybe 15 years. My math is a little off. But like, you're 14 or 13, you're starting to look at, places where you're going to continue your academic as well as your extracurricular pursuits. And I remember during like going to the high school career like fair night and saying to my mom, I found the school. I don't need to go look at any other high schools because they get girls and women. And my mom was like, what school is this? And she had heard of the high school. And she, of course, was like, what's the tuition? Like, what is the tuition going to cost us? What is it going to set us back? But to go back to answering your question, no, it wasn't like I grew up, saying to my parents, you know what, I'm going to go into social justice work, or I'm going to go into community organizing, or I'm going to become a director of development or a fundraiser or any of that. No, when I was growing up, because I used to argue my case all the time with my parents, I was like, I'm going to become an attorney, right?
Right.
RBJ, RBG. That's like what I want to do. I want to go and make a difference and fight for equitable and equal rights. And that didn't turn out accordingly. But one of the things that happened was when I was in undergrad, I did an externship, domestic study abroad program at American University based in Washington, D.C. And I was interning with the judicial system. And there was a judge that I had met, and the judge had said to me, Alex, you're so passionate about justice issues, but you're also challenging a lot, and you're asking questions around mandatory minimums, looking at the incarceration rates with Black and Latinx individuals. You're zeroing in on that community, especially with women, and also with Indigenous people. This individual had said to me, you can do justice work and you don't have to be an attorney. And that stuck with me. And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
And when I think about like the path that I wound up going down, it's this very curvy, topsy-turvy path that there's no, like, nothing makes sense on paper, but everything makes sense within the story of what I tell people. And it's one experience or one opportunity lent itself to providing me with a whole new worldview.
Yeah.
And that was the most important thing, because I have a wanderlust and I have a spirit, which is very much what rock stars have. And I love to travel. Again, what rock stars, that's not true. Not all rock stars like to travel. But what they like to do is they like to share the messaging, whether that's with their own original music, or even if that's them doing covers of other people's. They're picking songs that speak to their motivation for why they stand on the stage, which is their platform.
Right.
And using your platform for good. And this is where I default as the optimistic realist that I am. That's where that positivity and that positive impact plays such an important role.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and it's all about, oh, hello.
And this is the future
special
generation.
Guest. Hello. Hi, Kai. Let me see.
Wow. Oh, honey, thank you. Is that mommy or is that Miss Jen?
Me?
Is that Miss Jen?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
You cannot see the yellow.
Oh, I see the yellow. I see it there.
Right there.
Yeah.
I will show you.
Oh,
Can you see it too?
I can. That's gorgeous. And did you show Daddy that photo too?
You like it?
I love it. Thank you so much.
You can put it in your purse.
I will.
She can
I
put
will.
it in her purse.
I will put it in my purse.
I did all of it. This.
Uh-huh.
This.
Wait, is this my black eye? What?
Those are those tears of joy. Those are tears of joy.
No,
right?
that's your tattoo.
My tattoo? I don't have a face tattoo.
How did she get a tattoo? Is this make-believe?
Yeah.
That's just
I
make-believe.
have a face tattoo.
Face tattoo.
No.
It's very creative, honey.
I did.
Yeah.
That's very creative.
I did.
Did you show Daddy?
I'll show you my earrings.
Oh, yes.
I
Kai, how old are you?
5.
5! You're 5 years old now?
It was my birthday.
When?
I turned 5.
When was your birthday?
June 26th.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. June 26th.
I'm gonna go make another picture.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, will you tell Daddy that you're making another picture too, please? Okay. Thanks, honey.
Bye, girl.
I mean, I'm just saying.
She gave me a face tattoo.
She gave you a face tattoo. She knew the topic was badasses.
Oh, wait.
You're gonna make a snake? Okay, you can take the snake down there. The
All right.
plastic snake down there.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, honey.
I love that she's dressed like a candy corn today.
So every night she picks out her outfits, right? Mm-hmm. No, you heard the word outfits. Then we negotiate as to which one she's actually going to land on.
Okay.
So that bedtime routine is always fun. And I'm saying that like lovingly. Like I love it because I love fashion and I love that she also... For all the audience members that are watching and are going to be listening, Kai's dad just realized that
She came upstairs.
well, he was supposed to be watching her.
Oh, you know. But you know what? One of the badass things about us is that we are moms and we
Yes.
balance and we do
Yes.
multiple things at once.
Yes.
And having a 5-year-old come in the middle of this is not a big deal.
No. And we roll with it.
We
I think
roll
that's
with
the
it.
other thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we know how to just go, you know what? That happens in our house.
Yeah.
There's no second takes. It's not like you can do a rewind
No.
and go, where were we at? Maybe we'll remember. If not, we'll just, like, continue moving on.
Yeah.
Which is so great. So.
You know, she wanted to grab that mic so bad and start singing.
Did.
Oh my God.
She
She was
looked
like,
at it. She did. She looked at it like, wait, are they gonna let me do that? Like, could I do that? Could I give Kai original? So yeah. But I legitimately do not remember where we were at.
you know what? I don't either, and that's okay.
It is okay. It is okay.
So, speaking of balance,
Yeah.
you know, you're also a mom and you have the corporate job and the work that you're doing has a lot of social impact and social influence.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance? Do you even balance?
It's so funny. A colleague of mine asked me that same question today, and I said, wow, I must be a really good magician because I'm like, I was like, it's all an illusion. And my colleague goes, no, it's not. Like, she's like, I come to you and I think about you because you do. Like, you make time for people. And we know, like, we recognize you're getting pulled as a mom, as somebody who's active in the community. I'm very proud of the organizations that I volunteer with.
Yeah.
And the work that they're doing. And for me, I said, you know what the illusion is? Or I said, what I think is the illusion, but you think is the actual reality, is that I'm really good at scheduling and prioritizing. And when we think about family, when we think about friends, when we think about the things that you're most passionate about and the things that you really would lay your life on the line for,
Yeah.
right? Like, those are the top 3, those things that I mentioned. That's where the priorities come in. That's where being able to say, you know what, Jen, if you called or texted me and I wasn't able to talk to you right away and I knew it was an emergency, I could say, hey, is it an emergency? You say, no, not right now. Hey, I'll call you back later tonight after bedtime. Or tonight's crazy. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Does this time work, right? And it's being able to say, I can't right now, but I will find the time. Mm-hmm. And it also requires saying no. Being able to say, that is something I cannot do, I don't want to do, and I am not going to be apologetic for saying, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it really sounds like the things that you prioritize align with the values that you have as well. And that setting clear and responsible boundaries is really important.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the other things that's important for us to talk about, it's like, what are the things that are non-negotiable? And I will completely admit that, like, what's today? Today's early in the week. Last week, there were 2 days where my schedule was completely topsy-turvy. I feel like we should drink our Spindrift, like, every time I say topsy-turvy, right?
Spindrift.
First time she's having it. And
not a sponsor yet. It's good.
It's great.
Good.
Hold on, let me take my sip. Was that my schedule and my day was so out of whack. But why was it out of whack? It was because my family needed me. And what did I do? I reshuffled and reprioritized everything so that I could be there for my significant other, so that I could be there for my daughter, and realized, okay, the one thing that keeps me actually mentally sane, I wasn't going to be able to get to until the end of the night. And for me, what keeps me sane, again, going back to that magic, is my workout routines.
Yeah.
And that is how I prioritize myself. And especially, like, as women of color, like, I was in a meeting today and we were talking about how we don't always put ourselves first. The majority of us will put others first. It could be a complete stranger. We'll still put that person first.
Right.
And yet, what do you have to do? You have to put yourself first, because if I'm not healthy or well, how can I expect anybody around me to be healthy or well? It's like, you know, when you're on a plane and they're like, put your mask on first before you put the mask on, like, your child or anybody else.
Right. I used to never understand that when I was younger. But then, you know, now that we're older, it's like, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
But gotta take care of mama before you could take care of anybody else.
Correct. Yeah. And I actually said, so my significant other's name is Nathan. So I said to Nathan on Friday, I was like, listen, for the record, I go, clearly you can't control when you're in a crisis, right? Or when stuff happens in our house or whatever, or with our kiddo. But I just need you to remember that, like, mommy loses her shit a little bit if she doesn't get her, like, 45 minutes of workout in. And he just was like, understood, babe. Like, right? But it was also communicating that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing, where it's well, how do you keep it balanced, or how do you keep things in a space that's not stressful? It's communicating with, whether you do have a significant other, or if you have a team of people, or you have friends, right? It's being able to say, hey, I'm not in a good space, or hey, I'm really busy, or hey, could you, like, do dinner, or hey, could you go pick up the kid, or hey, can you water the plants?
Right.
Whatever it is, it's having that open line of communication as well.
Yeah. That's really important. Yeah. So when things are aligned and, you know, things aren't necessarily topsy-turvy.
Yep, right. Cheers.
I'm not even sure what I'm asking anymore.
It's the Spindrift. It's getting
I'm
to
like,
you.
ooh, Spindrift.
All the naturalness from a beverage, right? No fault.
You better help me get this corporate sponsor, girl.
You're gonna be like, who is this? Like, who's this Jen Farley and Alex Shade? Like, we need to look into them, right? Wait, Madison, Wisconsin, right?
So how do you like Madison, Wisconsin, by the way?
You know, So I went to undergrad at Beloit, in Beloit, Wisconsin, and never thought I would go to school in the Midwest, having originated from Michigan, from Detroit, from the 313. Never did I think I was going to go, like, stay in the Midwest. I knew I was going to get out of the state. Like, I knew that was something that was going to be priority number one. Number two, I didn't think I would fall in love with Beloit College and Beloit campus as well.
Uh-huh.
But it was the people. It was the liberal arts approach, education, diversity, especially from an international perspective, and then what I wound up eventually majoring and minoring in. So fast forward then another, 15, 20 years. No, that's not true. Like 15 years later, with opportunities to come back to the state of Wisconsin, and me go, hell no. Why would I come back to Wisconsin? There were a lot of challenges. For as many of the things that I liked, there were a lot of things I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that the state still is only at like 88%, 88% white. We still don't have the diversity that I would like to see within the space of our indigenous communities and our Latinx and our Black communities, as well as from a generational perspective. Yeah. There's a lot of younger millennials and Gen Zers that may come in, do their education, and then they go back, or they go south, somewhere in the south, because the opportunities and the communities and the state and the jobs are more inclusive, and or they pay the value of that person's credentials. And so, yeah, come back, right? Do some interviewing, and then get offered a position, offered a role, and have this conversation and say like, okay, I really want to take this job because what they're saying that they're committed to, going back to the organization's commitment to really focusing on centering equity and really living out their values and their mission. And I, as a lifelong community organizer, as somebody who's like, oh my goodness, am I going to go work at a corporation? Like, what? It was like, yes, because of all those experiences that I've had on an international level, regional, local level, different industry sectors. I was like, Madison needs my family. It's not just the me, it's the we. And I knew that was going to be hard for Nathan. I knew that Kai, she was 2.5 at the time, like, all she knew was like, mommy, it's cold. It's cold, right? When we eventually made the migration west from the DC area. But ultimately, I said, like, we have to be there. And I warned Nathan. I was like, listen, it's going to be challenging. This is not going to have, like, the ethnic, racial, sexual orientation, like all the ACLU-isms that I like to talk about, diversity, that we are accustomed to and we are used to. Yeah. But, like, we have got to be a part of creating the systems level change, and we got to come back. Like, I got to come back. Yeah. I'm being called to come back, and I need you to trust in me that this is where we're going to need to be, and let's do this thing. And so that's where I say, like, it's been awesome to be embraced by the Madison community, because, again, I was down in Beloit. I wasn't in Madison. I'd come up here. I'd gone to Milwaukee, too, when I was in undergrad. But it was, there were things that were still very similar from at that time when I was in uni or college. And then things where I was like, okay, there are some movement forward. And that, for me, is what I wanted to focus on, which is okay, let's focus on the present. Yes, we have to remember and never forget our past, but, like, let's go build some awesome shit and change some systems and do this thing. Yeah. And that's where I have to say that, again, with the community, embracing me, embracing him, embracing Kai, it's been cool. But we moved here, and then it was like, bam, we were like in shutdown May 18th, like, or I'm sorry, March 18th, and like shutdown. And so this is where I tell people, I'm like, I know a lot of spots, I know a lot of places, I've gone to a lot of establishments, but, like, we're still newbies. Yeah. Right? Like, we're still newbies. And so that, what excites me is, like, the future. Yeah. It's the future.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and I find it really interesting because Madison and Milwaukee are two of the most racially divided cities in the country. As liberal and, welcoming as Madison is, being a woman of color and bringing your family here, you're saying that you're being called, like, there's got to be a lot of challenges.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah, I know. Who says you're being called to Wisconsin? I know most people I know here are like, girl, I'm getting called like out west, down south.
you got called to Wisconsin.
Like, you got called to Wisconsin. I'm like, well, yeah, when like justice runs through your veins, your blood, right? There's a calling. There's a calling. And it's whether or not you choose to answer that. Because I tell people, I'm like, my life was fine in Virginia. My life was fine. Our lives were fine. And I had it like roadmap, right? I'm a visionary. I'm a futurist. I was like, Kai's going to be going to this school. And this is what our, the plan is moving forward. And then things, just like I said, it was like an opportunity presented itself. And it was like, how do I not answer this? And so to look at the statistics when we think about grade reading levels especially for our Black and our Latinx youth, the disparities are so great. When we think about schools and 421 school districts in the state of Wisconsin, and the number of those school districts that have the resources that they need so that their students can best thrive, it's maybe less than a quarter of that. Yeah. It's really bad. And so that's just education. Then you take like the areas around quality, affordable workforce housing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how people afford homes. I don't know how a single mother with children can afford a home. Especially when we're looking at rents at like $1,500. And yet if I'm only making that salary, or if I'm having to work 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs, where is the opportunity for me to save money? Where is the opportunity for me to ensure that my kiddos are going to a school that will provide them with what they need so that they have the best educational outcome possible? Then when we think about healthcare, when we think about transportation, I mean, all of these tie into the social determinants of health and how somebody can best thrive. And so to turn a blind eye and to be able to say like, oh, yeah, Madison is a great place to live, and it continues to be on the list. Right? These lists that come out, I'm like, yeah, for certain individuals, not for all individuals of color.
Right.
And that's the piece of it that people don't always talk about. And that is a problem.
So what can we do? And this is such a trite question, but what can we do to start the conversation?
Well, it's having conversations like this.
Yeah.
It's having, it's knowing, it's becoming more aware. It's doing the work. I say that all the time. There's a lot of people who, that may say or talk about like, I'm woke, I know what's happening. Like, do you? I mean, or people who go like, my neighborhood's diverse. Okay, explain diversity to me. Like, I have my one neighbor. Even statements like that, right? So language, checking one's language and being really mindful of that. Really looking at who your circle of friends are is another one. Yeah. Or even your circle of acquaintances, your network.
Yeah.
Expanding beyond that, diving into, some people say like, well, people got to read more books. And I'm like, you don't have to just read more books. There's a lot of different ways that you can educate yourself. There's a lot of amazing artists who are very outspoken with their lyrics that call out a lot of those institutions and systems of oppression, and call out a white supremacy culture. There are also amazing spoken word artists, a lot of individual artists, right? Those who put murals on buildings. There are organizations that are doing incredible work in some of those areas, like Urban Triage doing amazing work addressing economic security and housing related issues. Learn more about these organizations. It's also then having conversations. I mean, I think oftentimes people feel like, okay, well, if I'm a white person, I can't go and talk to another white person about this. Why can't you? I'm pretty sure your circle of friends may be majority white. If you're not having that conversation with somebody that you may identify with and that you feel comfortable with, how the hell are we ever going to have a conversation that would welcome other people that may not look like you into that? And that's important. It's being able to say, like, hey, you know what? I read a lot of stuff, or I listened to some stuff, or I heard something on the news. And I always say, like, please, like, look at where you're getting your news source of information from, of, well, what did you hear? And share that.
Yeah.
Add that to the dinner time conversation. Add that, to the next conversation when somebody checks in and be like, yo, I'm not actually doing really well. I've listened to something really, like, wrong and disturbing, and I'm trying to process it. Can I just share it with you? And then, like, what's your take on it?
Yeah.
It just starts with, like, being open, but wanting to actually do the work.
Do the work.
Do the work. Let's create a song. Like, do the work.
Do the work.
Just saying. Just saying.
Just saying. Speaking of songs, I'm going to transition into the song portion of our conversation.
Sure. Everybody's like, could you please go lighter? Can we get to, like, the Rockstar stuff, right? Yeah.
No, I think that it's important, and I think it needs to be discussed. So that's I'm appreciative of you bringing up those points. So,
yeah.
But speaking of rock stars, like, first of all, what does a rock star mean to you?
Just a badass.
A badass.
Badass who, like, uses, whether it's a microphone or not, to me, it's somebody who uses their voice to affect positive change, right?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta use it for good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna default and be like, anarchy against the world. Maybe, sure, but, like, for me, my definition is a badass who uses her voice. I mean, I'm gonna stick with her, as my pronouns are she and hers, and I choose to share them. Uses her voice to get that message out that, like, will motivate people to motivate people to act, and also, like, inspires you.
Yeah.
In a way that, like, maybe the inspiration or maybe the acting is like, yo, I'm going to sing in the shower. Right? That rock star has inspired me to use my voice because I may not think that my voice is pretty, or that I may not have the confidence to be in a extroverted, like, setting. But I can build that.
Yeah.
And I can help find that within me. It's what they help you find within yourself that you may not already know exists. And it helps to tap into and go, hey, yo, it's in there.
It's in there.
I'm going to help you find it.
I love that. And do you have, like, a theme song, like a Rockstar theme song that you connect with?
No. I don't. I really don't. You know what's so funny is people will say to me, they'll be like, Alex, like, who are your favorite musicians? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got, like, so many. But, like, I also have so many that I don't know because, honestly, because I don't have the brain power or that ability to remember artists, the name of their CD or their song, and or the year it came out with. This is where I default to all the musicians who are like, girl, that was 1978, right? Like, and they'll just spew off all of this stuff, and I'll be like, listen, I know who I really like. But no, my theme songs are more like in the form of playlists.
Okay.
It's like I have playlists. So I have like the workout playlist. I got the getting ready playlist, which I guess would maybe default to like I've never named it this, but it's like my motivational playlist, which has like just a whole bunch of like female artists on it.
Okay.
Where it's like, yes, yes, yes. Like it's, if I'm having to give a speech or if I'm having to deal with anything like work related, or if I'm ever nervous about something, right? Sometimes you have to have tough conversations with your kiddo or with your significant other or with a friend. And so for me, it's like, okay, you can do this. Like, you know what you need to say. They're just helping me find my words and my confidence.
You've got like a mix of music that gets you there. Yes. Who are some of the artists on that mix?
Okay, so you got to have Queen Bee, right?
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Like that's Tina Turner is another one. Janis Joplin.
Okay.
Gwen Stefani is another one. I do have some Eve. I have old school Queen Latifah.
Oh.
Right? Like
I was just thinking about Queen Latifah and her music career the other day.
Right? And like, aren't we all like wishing that like we would get another album? Like I'm so like proud that she was able to transition into acting and everything else.
So I love watching The Equalizer. She's on Sundays.
Yes, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. It's on the queue.
It is so good, right? She is such a badass. And then the next show is like NCIS Los Angeles starring LL Cool J.
I know. Right?
I'm like, what is happening? It's like the Queen Latifah and then LL Cool J.
I would call that really smart marketing people behind setting up the Sunday nights, like primetime schedule, like going, like these are all like. And I know the cast of NCIS LA, but somebody had said to me, you would love The Equalizer. So I just like looked at the cast and I was like, I would watch all of them. Like, you know?
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay. So
It's really good.
I will, whenever I get some downtime, I will put that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's a whole mix of female artists. Lady Gaga's another one. Diana Ross is, and Diana Ross, and then also the Supremes ensemble.
Okay.
But yeah, because I also like some Ella Fitzgerald. I'm trying to go through Nina Simone. I'm a big Nina Simone fan. Nina Simone. I grew up with a lot of jazz and blues.
I love that.
In my house.
Yeah.
On my dad, like that was my dad's passion. On my mom's side, it was a lot of the Beatles. It was a lot of Janis J. It was some Pink Floyd. And but like if people met my mom, they would be like, "Really? This woman used to listen to that?" Because like when you meet her, it's so not what you would imagine.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
that's great. So, do you is there anything that we left out in this conversation?
My inspirational.
Oh yes. Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking about
You were thinking about LL Cool J.
I was thinking. I mean, I'm sure the ladies love Cool James, but I do love LL Cool J.
You did, because you would transition right from like The Equalizer to you were like, do you know what comes on?
Do you know LL Cool J? Yeah. Yes. Please share what you have.
Okay.
Because we were talking about like inspiration.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And one of the things that I mentioned earlier, and full disclosure, is like I just, because of me knowing Jen, I knew she was going to ask me for some type of quote, and I am not the person who remembers everything off the top of my head, but when I love something, I will bookmark it, and I'm getting older, and so I need all these hacks in order to help me. And so this is something that I've shared with my daughter, with other badass women I know, because I think oftentimes we forget that we all need a hero, right? But we need a shero. So I also have to give call out Irene Latham and Charles Waters, because they are the authors of this book. And so there is so it starts off like this. Shero. Sheros are like palm trees with deep roots, bending not breaking, gaining strength by weathering sporadic storms, then shielding us from sunshine's moody glare. Beaming up at them, standing tall among indigo waves and sky, I know one thing to be true on this planet. Sheroes are permanently planted in my heart.
I love that.
Right? And so here's the quote to end the quote.
Okay.
Because I binge watched this entire series last fall. She needed a hero, so that's what she became. Jane from the TV series Jane the Virgin. Remember, she needed a hero, so that's what she became. And I think that's the thing that I really hope that people remember is if you don't see it, you can become it.
That's right. Be the hero that you need to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shero. I don't need a hero, like the song, right? I need a shero.
I need a shero.
So,
I
yeah.
need a shero.
That's exactly what I do. I totally changed the lyric to shero. I'm like, I don't need no hero. I need a shero. I need me.
There you go. Alex, thank you so much for just taking some time out of your busy schedule and
having
sitting
fun with
down
you
and chatting. Yes, this is so nice to do.
in our spindrifts.
They
They really are spindrifts, everybody.
I didn't know that spindrifts come in this color, but it does. Blackberry. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.